Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt. Welcome to New Brit Workshop and this workshop notes video number 27. Now, roughly once a year, I have a go at doing a bit of maintenance on all my machines. I'm not absolutely rigid about it, but it's really important just to keep them nice and clean. And by cleaning things up, you can see if there's any sort of telltale signs of either grease or oil leaking out from anywhere. You can also see if there's something loose, it might be a nut or a screw that's loose that needs to be adjusted or tightened up. It's also important to listen to your machines when you're using them. And if you hear that the sound is labouring in some way, maybe there's a belt which is too loose or too tight, or maybe something else is going wrong. So use your ears as well as your eyes just to check on the performance of your machines. Now, of course, with some of the machines, there's not a lot that the user can do, but go to all those things which are user adjustable, checking tension on belts like this, making sure there's no huge amounts of rubber from the belts building up in there, because that could indicate that there's a misalignment between these pulleys and so on and so forth. And it's a good idea to check the tension on drive belts such as this here on the planing machine, and they can be adjusted. The motor is on an assembly which can be pushed up or down to adjust the tension on the various belts. And so check that. Also check for any wear on the belts and any dirt or chippings that may have got into this part of the mechanism. And it's a good thing with a planer to finish off with a wax product like this. I've had it for a while, actually mislaid it during the move. This is some stuff from Axminster, it's their machine wax, and it's really good for planer beds, absolutely perfect. It goes on very easily, and it ensures that the wood goes nice and evenly over it, and of course it will inhibit rusting. And there is another product. I don't have any. I must get some next time I go to an Axminster store. It's called camellia oil, and you can use it on all sorts of iron or metal things that might otherwise go rusty in your workshop. It's particularly useful if you're working from a shed or a building that's not attached to a house and has no proper heating. Now, since making the video about this Axminster Cyclone, I've had a lot of questions about the way I've got my kit set up. Now, I've got the pneumatic NVD 750 extractor up here. I've got this Axminster Cyclone. It's the one which is just under £100 at the time of making this video. And that is what I use for servicing my planing machine. Now, one viewer said that he had contacted Axminster, and Axminster said that the NVD 750 is not suitable for use with a planing machine. Well, that is absolutely true, because when you look at the number of litres per minute, or litres per second, or cubic feet per minute, or whatever the statistic is, you'll find out that there's a great difference between what a planing machine requires and what the NVD 750 can produce. And so Axminster are absolutely right to say the two things are not compatible. And okay, I accept the fact that that extractor on paper does not have the oomph to work with this planing machine or any others particularly. But I've tried it. And it works. Okay, so it doesn't produce the super duper every single little bit gets picked up. I still have a tiny little bit dotted around the place that needs to be picked up. Now, technically, some of those chips that aren't being picked up can interfere with the cutting process. I've not found that to be an issue at all. So, in my experience, in my workshop, I'm continuing to use this setup. But Axminster will continue to tell you that the two do not go together, because the manufacturer of the planing machine want a certain throughput of air, and the manufacturer of the extractor say what its capabilities are, and it's not enough. So there you are, the choice is yours, but this is how I use it, and it works. I want to talk to you now about scribing. Now, I was fitting a kitchen unit recently, and I needed to make sure that the end of one panel fitted nicely against the wall. And I'm going to give you an exaggerated diagram here to show you the problem. The wall was very uneven, and the panel had to be cut so that it matched the shape of the wall. And one needs a line to cut to, or to plane to, whichever is the process one is using, in order to do this process, which we call scribing. Now, in my particular case, the wall was very uneven, and so I needed to make a gadget, and this is the gadget that I produced. It's a simple block of wood, and I very carefully measured where I wanted to put the pencil that goes all the way through the wood. In fact, this is just the lead of a pencil. I knew that my scribing line had to be 4 millimeters into the piece of wood, because that was the biggest bit of the gap between the straight edge of the wood and the wall. So I drilled a hole which is exactly 4 millimeters from this edge of this piece of wood. And I then put a pencil lead in it, and the hole is 2 millimeters in diameter. The pencil lead is also 2 millimeters, or a fraction under. So it's a nice tight fit. So supposing this is the surface which I'm scribing from, and here's my little gadget. I put it up against there, put a bit of pressure on the bit of the pencil lead that's sticking up, and I can then scribe my line, and there it is. And if I measure that, that is precisely 4 millimeters. So it's a little block of wood, a 2 millimeter hole in my case, depends on the thickness of your leads, and then make sure that your lead is a nice snug fit in there, and break the lead off so it just has a little bit so you can push down on the top. And having scribed the line, I'm just now taking all the excess material off, and it's fairly straightforward. Good exercise. By using a shorter plane like this, I can get some of the contours done with no problem at all. And here you can see the panel in place. It's been planed off, and it's fitting within about 0.5 millimeter all the way along its length. I'm in the process of cutting a pair of rebates in this kicking strip, which is going under the cupboards, which I'm using for my fridge and freezer. And these vents need a couple of cutouts, one here and one which I've started just here. Now you can do the long cut very easily with the track saw, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It does need a lot of care, and you do need to make sure you do it in the safest possible manner. I've started by marking out where I want to have my cutout. I've put my guide rail here along that long cut edge, and the piece I want to cut out is on this side of the guide rail. I'm now going to position my saw so that the centre is just a little bit past this line. I'm then going to very carefully start my plunge, and I'm going to hold the front of the saw down so that the saw does not move either forward or backwards. And when you're doing a plunge cut, it's very important to make sure you hold the track saw down onto the track, because there's a chance of kickback. So I've just checked, I'm all set up, my guide rail's in the right place. I'm actually holding the guide rail down with a clamp at this end, and I'm going to start my plunge. And I've stopped just there. If I remove the saw now, and I'll remove the guide rail, you should now see I've got a perfect cut there, and the one I'd done earlier is also here. Now these two cuts I can do with a jigsaw, and I can finish off where the saw blade hasn't quite cut at the bottom all the way to the end line there. I can finish that off with a jigsaw as well. Now, a long time ago, I made this castor carriage, as I call it, for the planing machine. And it was built specifically for this particular planing machine that I have. Well, I've got a big birthday coming up very, very soon. And I've had authority to upgrade my planing machine to a newer model. But anyway, the new machine, I've had a look at it, it is slightly bigger. And so I'm having to make an adjustment to the castor carriage. Originally, this piece went across there like so, and the carriage ended along that line there. I've since added a new piece of oak. Actually, technically it's two pieces there, and it's clear of the casters, so there's no problem there. And it's screwed in with four large screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Unfortunately, when I put the screw in there, the screw broke, so I had to put another screw hole in adjacent. So that's anyway in. Now this oak is 30 millimeters thick, the same thickness as the main bottom part of the original carriage. And I now need to effectively move this piece, or a piece like it, out this way. So I'm going to be adding a new piece along here, which is removable. Then the new machine will be pushed on here, and then this piece pushed in at the end, just as this one used to be, in order to retain the machine on the platform. But I'm making it out of a wider piece this time, so it strengthens this area where there will be a little bit of weight from the machine. However, I must say that is absolutely as strong as anything. I could dance on there with several other people as well. So this piece will eventually be made into a replacement for this. And if all goes well and I get the new planing machine, I'll make a video about it and I'll show it being put onto the new platform. Now, I'm hoping in about 8 weeks' time to have at least one new path product to show you. And it's quite an interesting one. It's not too expensive, and I think you'll like it. Anyway, for now, thank you very much for watching, and Happy New Year for 2020. Take care. Bye-bye.